But we'll figure it out now.
Yeah.
Looks like they're shuffling up, getting ready for it. They're definitely playing.
They're definitely battling. They're shuffling each other's decks up. And I'd be interested to hear what their exact records are right now.
Hopefully we can figure that one out. Looks like Jeremy's on it.
So food chain combo deck. Happy to have that one under the camera again.
So the food chain combo deck's going to go off around turn. You said around turn 4 or 5.
I think if it's going off, it's probably going off around like turn 4 or 5.
Turn 4 or 5
can
with 0 disruption.
Turn like 3.
Right.
Also, two-headed
So
hypothetically, but
so versus the high tide deck, I feel like the high tide deck kind of has to be favored.
Oh, the high tide deck should crush it.
Yeah. It goes off on what, turn 3?
Oh, so that is what happened. Chris X and 1 was expecting to be able to draw into top 8 and got pared down against John, who is X 1 and 1.
Oh, okay. Well, uh-oh.
Odd to draw with High Tide. High Tide's a weird deck because you go to time a good amount with High Tide, but normally in those extra turns, even though your big turn takes a very long time,
Yeah.
5 turns is usually enough to win.
Some people just won't concede whenever they, like if they're, if they know they're beaten, their opponent's just comboing out, they want to see the combo every single time, hope they make a mistake.
Yeah. Christopher mulliganing now. Perhaps he knows what John is playing, trying to mulligan to a better hand for the matchup.
Gotta have a really quick start to try to erase the combo mirror.
Yeah, I mean, earlier we saw him keep some somewhat questionable hands in the previous match we watched, but a game loss for his opponent, and a couple of fairy macaques was enough.
Start with island and a preordain.
Yeah.
I could not get that word out, or the right card.
And let's see what Christopher has for turn 1. He has a Misty Rainforest, which is going to crack. I saw a Trop in his hand. I'm surprised he didn't play the Tropical Island first. I saw a Brainstorm in his hand. You really want to hold those fetch lands, play them last, kind of get some value out of them.
Yeah, see as many cards as you can, get rid of the ones you don't want.
Maybe he feels that thinning his deck out is more important right now. You never know what he has. He might be. He might have a turn 1 accelerator. Oh no, he does not. Yeah, the only time I could really see playing the Misty there over just playing the Tropical Island is if he had a turn 1 accelerator into a turn 2 food chain and was just looking to thin his deck.
John just drew a Force of Will.
Drifter or something like that.
I'm pretty sure a while back, whenever I didn't really have a good idea of how to play Legacy, I was just asking for pointers, and somebody was like, if you have to read the card, you don't know what it does, and you don't know why it's in their deck, you counter it. That's all you can do. And they're like, you just have to get rid of it immediately. It's never safe, and I definitely have, like, that lesson's always come true. Where people are like, Helm of Being, it's like, oh, what does that one do? I'm like, oh, yeah, I gotta counter this one. This is probably gonna kill me really soon. So,
I don't understand what this card does.
No.
I'll just counter it and not find out.
Yeah, it's always gonna be a really, really bad thing.
See, I'm really, really stubborn with my Force of Wills. I will not force something unless it's absolutely going to kill me or completely dominate the game. All right, a Brainstorm there for John.
Yeah, that's what the advice was essentially. They're like, if you don't know what it does, it's probably a really important piece to their deck. Like any combo piece.
All right, and Symbiote getting in for 1. John going to go to 18 here. And the way we've seen Christopher winning a lot of his games here is he's just been beating down.
Yeah. That's the really neat thing about it. I believe this deck does play Vengevine, right?
It does.
Yeah, that's what I thought just whenever
Vengevine's an awesome threat in Legacy, by the way.
Yeah, it's a very amazing threat. I was playing in the Invitational, and I was playing against an Elf combo deck, and I spent so much energy trying to disrupt their combo, they just beat me to death. They're just like, Guy, Vengevine, attack. And I'm like, well, I can't really deal with both your plans. I have to deal with one or the other.
Yeah, that's one of the great parts about like a green combo deck is you have both those angles.
Right.
I played Elves a lot, and it was always one of my favorite things is that, if my opponent stopped me from comboing, I could just attack them with the long ones.
Yep.
Pendlehaven them out. All right, so another land from John Rojas, and just passing the turn back over to Christopher. With the High Tide deck, you kind of just wait, especially against a deck like Christopher's, where he can't really interact with you at all.
Right.
You just wait until the turn before you're dead.
And just guarantee your combo is going to be live. Definitely a good decision for any sorts of those decks. Have you ever played the High Tide deck before?
I have not played this version of the High Tide deck. It's not since the.
You played the old
unbanning.
Springtide, the reset one.
Yeah, I used to play. I played Solidarity.
Yeah. It's definitely. I played High Tide for a little while, not long enough to get really comfortable with it. They printed Middle Misstep soon after I started to play the deck a little bit, and I found that this deck's really difficult to play. Like, while it is just counting, the smallest mistake can be extremely costly, but the deck's so powerful that you can generally kind of battle through 3 or 4 small mistakes. It was the Hatfields that came up with this version, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. Was it Alex or Jesse who won in New Jersey? I was commentating that event. I should really know.
They were in the finals together, right? No. That was the New Jersey one was the one where he ripped the time spiral off the top and everyone lost it.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Those are always the neat ones to watch.
All right, so John fetching a land up here, and after a brainstorm, using his brainstorms properly, and Christopher not really with much of an exciting board going on right now. I'm surprised on that last turn that he didn't just bounce that Coiling Oracle even with the Wirewood Symbiote post combat, just recast that.
Yeah.
Just look for that food chain because I think it's a high deck. The attack with 1/1's plan.
It's not going to get there.
It's not going to get there fast enough.
No.
It's just not going to do it.
The neat part about the High Tide deck going off, and I assume it's probably going to be kind of boring for commentating, but the turn that they're going off can just take so long. They're just going to sit there and brainstorm and meditate and turnabout. Oh, looks like he might be going for it now.
That's High Tide.
High Tide.
Yep. And
I don't like that picture of High Tide. I like the Amy Weber one.
The one with the
little
fish.
Orb. That's the fish.
Fishes.
High Tide number 2. We got Storm Count. We got our manas.
Yeah. And
he's been doing this. He's got all of his dice properly positioned.
I appreciate that. Use that last mana. I'm gonna play a Ponder. I'm gonna Storm Count up to 3 now. These top 3 cards. Let's see if you can find anything exceptionally relevant right now.
Well, he's just digging for pieces to go off with the combo at this point. He's already got the backup. I guess he doesn't know for a fact that there's no counter magic in the food chain deck, so he's going to want to... He already has his counter backup, his Force of Will, and now he can just go off freely with whatever he needs to do.
And 6 mana now for
Turnabout.
Rojas.
Yep.
And a Turnabout.
Goes down to 2, untap.
Goes down to 2 mana, untaps all those lands, and
target my lands.
He has access to 14 mana now.
Brainstorm.
And
5 spells. Go for it.
A Brainstorm from Christopher. Now that island that he just tapped, that added 3 blue mana to his mana pool.
That is correct.
2 extra blue mana. And this is kind of a nice play by Christopher, brainstorming there. I like that. Even though your opponent
doesn't know you have the counter magic, you're kind of bluffing it at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Like your opponent doesn't know that you don't have forces in your deck. Christopher does still have 2 blue mana floating. Not that it's relevant with what his deck does, but John doesn't know that.
Meditate. I want to draw some cards and give you a turn.
And
that looks like a bunch of lands
Meditate is really good when you're not going to give them another turn. Drawing 4 cards for 3 mana, not very fair.
Not at all. Does his list play Mind Over Matter?
Does not have a Mind Over Matter.
That's unfortunate. I really liked that card. That was one of the things whenever I was playing the High Tide deck. I found out that the list was so tight. Anytime I wanted to try to change anything, it was built really, really well the first time. I didn't want to cut anything. I didn't want to... His list now, he's down to 1 Intuition. I believe I played more than that. 2 Turnabouts and 2 Meditates. And I guess it makes sense that he's cutting Intuitions because it is your tutor. You want to have 3 of the copies to make sure that you can guarantee 1 every single time you need it. He does have the 3 Cunning Wish, which is important, so that he can have... If his mana is essentially unlimited, he'll be able to get any piece that he needs for it.
Yeah.
I don't see what he cut for it though.
So a merchant scroll from John now. And what do you think he's going to grab here?
Another high tide.
Another high tide seems reasonable enough.
He's just gonna keep the combo going.
And with that many high tides in the stack, he doesn't really need that one. It's a little excessive. But
just up in the storm count. It's got to do something, I guess. If he already has the rest of the pieces, he's just gonna fluff his storm count.
Yeah, get it going. All right, and 8 mana in pool now for John. Going to use 4 of that. I'm going to cast a Turnabout again.
Untap.
Now access to 20 mana for John. Perhaps more even. Does have the Turnabout.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if John knows this or not, but he's gonna brain freeze him out, but he still has to deal with like the Emrakuls and the Ulamog, right?
That's true. Okay. They've tested before, and John knows Christopher has no counter magic. So John is just fishbowling right now.
Right.
Oh, and John does have Blue Sun, so he will not brain freeze him out. He's just going to Blue Sun Zenith that.
That makes sense too.
Blue Sun Zenith, that's an effective way to beat the Eldrazi with your brain freeze deck.
Yeah.
John can just make enough mana to just cast a Blue Sun Zenith for some massive, massive number.
Yeah.
And mill Christopher's entire library. Candelabra of Tonos.
It's definitely going to keep the combo going.
Yep. Tap. That's 4. Going to use that 4. Candelabra, going to untap all of his lands. And access to another 16 mana now. And this is one of those weird spots for Christopher, because Christopher's kind of just got to sit here and wait, see what happens. Maybe he's going to lose, maybe not. Unlikely that he's not going to lose right now.
Yes, he's got so much mana, so many resources, so many cards. It's pretty much game over.
Another Merchant Scroll.
Do you still make him play it out here? Or do you just kind of pack it in?
I pack it in, I think. But, I mean, he's playing for top 8.
If I know my friend and I know he's competent and I know he's not going to fumble the combo somewhere along, I'll just pack it in. Go to the next game. They've apparently played together.
I think I make him show me, like... Nah, I guess not at this point. I don't make him show me anything. He's already Merchant Scrolled twice.
Yeah. He's got what he needs.
John taking a gander at his hand here. And he can just get like anything he wants, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, this is like one of those. You have so many options. Yeah, he's just kind of.
But it doesn't matter what he takes. Yeah. He just wins no matter what he takes. So
yeah, you either know what you need or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Searching. I don't remember what spell he's. Oh, Merchant Scroll. There we go. We figured it out.
Picks up a Cunning Wish. Or he does have a Blue Sun Zenith in his sideboard, so now it's just a question of him getting to. How much mana is needed?
He could. He has one in the main too. He just cast it, right? Yeah. He could just Merchant Scroll for that one again.
Yeah, he could have Merchant Scrolled for that too.
Yeah. Meditate and draw some more cards.
Yeah.
It's not looking too good for Chris. Still.
Not at all. And another Candelabra of Tawnos. More mana for John.
I don't know. I guess
hypothetically he could time spiral into just a terrible hand and lose, right?
Theoretically, yeah. I mean, either that or he's also like on the I hope my opponent accidentally draws extra cards plan. But if they're friends, he's probably not doing that one.
Yeah, the I hope my opponent draws extra cards plan. Not a good thing to do against your friends.
No, it's not really a good thing to do.
You don't really want friends.
It's not really a good thing to do in general, but that doesn't mean people don't do it. What was the last match that we watched? Somebody resolved a Thoughtseize of Vendilion Click or something. It was
oh, we did, yeah.
Yeah, in Cincinnati. Got the game lost, so I guess you always have outs.
You do always have outs, it's true.
There's always the meteor crashing into your opponent out. Picks up the other High Tide. His land's tapped for 1,000,000 mana now.
Yep.
1,000,000 mana, 9 cards in hand. More than 9 cards in hand.
Very, very, very unlikely at this point that John can lose the game. You know, it's kind of weird that John's even keeping Storm Count if he knows his opponent has the.
Yeah, that's what threw me off at
Kozilek.
first. I was kind of watching that one. Plus, I'm also in the grindstone mindset. Always trying to worry about how I can mill my opponent. And they're like, Blue Sun's here.
Cunning Wish.
Oh yeah.
And
Cunning Wish 4. Is that a turnabout for this guy? It's a turnabout on top. Nope.
what is he thinking about here? Echoing Truth? That seems reasonable. Bounce
reset his
both
candelabras. Yeah. That's fair. I mean, if
Very
he already
fair.
has it and he's just trying to get more and more mana to deck him, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's just gonna.
Yeah. There's really no wrong play in this situation. It's just do whatever you want to do until your opponent picks up all their cards. They're either going to his hand or back into his library to start the next game, one way or the other.
Yeah, another 20 manas.
Yahtzee. Look at that.
That's 20 mana. That's an Echoing Truth. Trying with candelabras. Play a candelabra.
Another one.
Play a candelabra.
Make millions of manas.
Yep. There's 4. Make more mana. At this point, yeah, we're just waiting for John to get up to 60 or so mana, so he could. Or I mean, he really only needs what, like 50 mana.
Yeah. Brainstorm. He's spending valuable manas. They're not
That's only
valuable.
one.
We found the proper time to cast a Brainstorm when your opponent's dead.
In reality, you just want to wait as long as possible to cast brainstorms all the time. And this is one of the few decks where that's not really true.
No, yeah.
You want to wait as long as possible with brainstorms when you're playing an interactive deck. This
Yeah.
deck, not so interactive.
You're just looking for pieces. Solving the puzzle. It looks like this puzzle is all but solved.
Yes, very much so.
And Christopher looks very sad right now. He's in Frown Town.
A little bit dejected. Yeah.
And we got another. That board's real expensive right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of money on the table for John. And we're not talking about his islands, which are worth about $1.
The islands?
Many players, the dealer would like to let you know
Wow.
that they are going to be
Probably worth
wrapping
like
up
4 to
once
5.
we get to the end of Swiss.
That's really crazy.
So if you have any business you wanted to transact with the dealer group or with the buyers, you have just under 30 minutes to do so. They will be wrapping
there we
up
go.
once we
There
get
we go.
done
For
with
fact.
Swiss.
On a side note, he's got the artifacts below the lands. Drives me crazy whenever I'm playing my opponents and they do that. It's a good way to put me on tilt for anyone who plays me in the future.
Playing the artifacts below the lands.
Playing like artifacts and creatures and all your stuff below your lands. I don't know why. It's like come on, man, just put them up where everyone else puts them.
It's weird. Normally, I'm pretty normal with the way I, have my board situated. When I'm playing a deck like Elves, with like cards like Llanowar Elves and Heritage Druids and things like that, I have my creatures intermingled with my lands.
That's different. Yeah,
I have like
fine.
everything is just kind of like together, and it's organized. It's not difficult to see, but it's just, I set it up in a way that makes it easiest for me to do the math.
I've definitely seen those situations where like Noble Hierarch's sitting in the land row, like someone casts Wrath of God 3 turns later, Noble Hierarch's still there.
Oh no, I don't miss that. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know you don't miss that, but I definitely have seen those things before. So
post sideboard, we're gonna look at what these guys have access to.
The High Tide sideboard's not really relevant at all because he might sideboard in a card or two, but wish boards are never really.
Yeah, when you have Cunning Wish in your deck, your sideboard is significantly less relevant. Christopher Piedra, on the other hand, looking at his sideboard, not looking very good for him.
No, he's just got more creatures. High Tide doesn't really care about creatures.
I mean, he can
he's got 3
Phyrexian Revoker,
yeah.
naming Candelabra.
That's about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So after all, even with the Food Chain deck advancing to X and 1 going to the last round of Swiss, the Food Chain combo deck will not make it into the top 8.
Well, I don't know. We could. Let's not jump the gun here. Let's find out.
Well, I mean, it is unlikely.
It's very unlikely. He might sideboard in his 1 Viridian Shaman.
That seems terrible, though. People aren't going to cast.
You never know. I'm trying to be hopeful here. Come on.
Yeah, John needs to draw really, really bad for
Yes.
Christopher to win.
Like mulligan into mulligan into mulligan into islands.
Well, even if he mulligans into Oblivion, he's still like he can. I think until John gets to 3 cards on mulligans, I still think he's a favorite to win.
Yeah, I feel like Chris just has to have a very nutty draw. What is Chris's nut draw here?
Chris's nut draw is turn 1 Noble Hierarch, turn 2 Food Chain, turn 3 evoke Muldrifter, sacrifice Muldrifter to Food Chain, blah 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 blah, Hardcast and Rockall.
Okay. So that's what we're working with. And there's only 2 Muldrifter.
And sorry I didn't go through all those things. It's just about 20 things I would have had to say before the.
We'll go through it if he starts to do it this time. That way we'll actually have something to say whenever they're all going off.
But Food Chain, what it does is you can sacrifice a creature. Sacrifice a creature, add mana to your mana pool of 1 color of your choice, equal to the converted casting cost of that creature plus 1.
Right.
So when you evoke a Muldrifter and then sacrifice it, then you paid 3 mana, you draw 2 cards, and you get 6 mana.
Right. It's a very, very good interaction, which is why I'm somewhat surprised there are only 2 Muldrifters in this deck.
Yeah, Muldrifter seems like one of the best things you can do with this deck.
Yeah.
Once you have the Food Chain in play. Food Chain Muldrifter does seem like the absolute coolest thing ever.
Yeah. I do believe that Chris was just handed the Food Chain deck from a friend, and I think he mentioned that. And it might not be as fine-tuned as somebody who has just been playing it for a really long time. So he's probably just really happy to be here and be doing as well as he's doing. I mean, he's locked in for a top 16 even with this loss, which is still pretty nice if you just kind of came to hang out today and grabbed a deck from a friend.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of things I'd like to change about this deck. I think 1 Draining Well could be really good here.
I don't know if that's too cute.
Is it too cute?
It's neat.
I mean, there are going to be so many games where you're going to have to pass with a Food Chain in play, and if you have that, you can just kind of lock games up where you couldn't otherwise. But maybe it is too cute. I mean, I think that if I'm going to be Food Chaining, I'm probably going to be better in exploring and things like that. So
Christopher opens with the Misty Rainforest, getting Tropical Island. We got our Noble Hierarch. Let's see if we can get the nice draw.
yeah, maybe Chris has one of the Food Chain nut draws. That'd be pretty cool to see. It's not very common, though.
No, I think John has a Forceful in his hand, too. Yeah, he does. So there goes that out. Ponder.
Ponder. Let's see what John can find here with this Ponder.
Oh, does he have 2 different pictures of Ponder in his deck? I thought he had the Lorwyn one earlier.
Maybe. I've seen a lot of Lorwyn Ponders this weekend. People really like Merfolk cards here in Florida. Not necessarily the Merfolk deck, but we've seen Lawan in just about every single deck sideboard.
Really?
Or main deck. Somebody was just main decking Lawan for what seemed like very, very little reason.
That's odd, considering that we sold so many Leyline Sanctuaries this weekend. That card is just going nuts. Everyone's expecting burn, and I even knew probably 5 or 6. I don't know that many people in this room because I'm in Florida and I'm not from the area, but just the people that I do know, probably 5 or 6 of them are already playing, just asking for burn cards, playing burn cards. We're sold out of burn cards. Like, the deck's really popular right now just because it allows entry to Legacy for so many people, which I think is an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing to have. It's good to have a deck in Legacy where you can purchase the whole deck for a very reasonable cost and get it in the format. Christopher searching up another tropical island. See what he has here for turn 2.
Looks like his hand is Noble Hierarch, Coiling Oracle, and something else. Yeah, Noble Hierarch.
Another Noble Hierarch. And an attack for 2. Getting aggressive.
Be aggressive.
John falling to 18 there. That's kind of the crazy thing about Noble Hierarch here. It's this like bird of paradise-like creature that just, you know, if you have another one of it, it's like an Isamaru. It's per day 2/3 attacking on turn 2.
Ban him. He's too good. Not really. I love Noble Hierarch. It's probably one of my favorite creatures. Like, we always have in the office, we always have these like debates, and one of them is often one of the best creatures. And I feel like Noble Hierarch's really underrepresented. Like, I always throw him in there. It is one of the better creatures. But it's definitely one of the best creatures.
Conrad Kolos, not a favorite of a lot of people, but a very, very strong player. When Noble Hierarch got printed, I remember talking to him, and he said, the fact that people are comparing that card to Bird of Paradise is completely unfair to Noble Hierarch. Noble Hierarch is so much better than Bird of Paradise. It is absurd. And it's a really good card.
Yeah.
And Preordained for John. Just sculpting that hand to perfection. Has a Force of Will in hand. Is going to be able to deal with any sort of food chain shenanigans that Christopher is able to put together. And
it's
probably just going to be able to high-tide him out.
For Christopher.
Coiling Oracle for Christopher.
We got our land.
Yeah, gets a Windswept Teeth off the top. Exactly what he wants to see.
I always really liked Coiling Oracle.
Yeah, it's a fun card.
Yeah.
Not a card you expect to see in Legacy.
No, not particularly. But still really good. Tapping, counting manas. Thinking. Sacrifice.
Grabs another tropical island.
Forest.
Or a basic forest. Oh, he only has 2 tropical islands.
Yeah.
As the building on a budget columnist, I appreciate that. Some extra fetch lands.
I can't imagine how furious your readers would be if you threw Tropical Island into one of your decks.
They would not be very happy with me. And that's getting Force of Will.
Don't do it, John. Accidentally F6. I want to make this game interesting.
Yeah, I would really like to see the Food Chain deck combo off. I'd also really like to see the Food Chain deck in the top 8, because it'd be so sweet.
Yeah, oh, he's got to read it. So if you follows the cardinal rule, if you must read it, you must counter it.
Yeah. All right, John. I think John should let it resolve for fun factor.
I kind of just want to stand up and scream over to the booth. Just let it resolve, John. Come on, man.
Well, it doesn't do that much.
Make it interesting. No. Taking the fun out of Magic.
Yeah, Force of Will.
Not really. Yeah, he's got a Force of Will that there. John falls to 17. And his hands, what was that? 2 islands, candelabra. He's about to his hand's about to get a lot better. I was gonna say it doesn't look too amazing right now. If Christopher has another food chain, he might be all right because he's not dying this turn. Candelabra. Delta. Using those brainstorms and fetch lands properly.
Yeah, good use of brainstorm here by John. Nice to see that.
Yep.
You know, this match has been. I know there hasn't really been that much interaction going back and forth, but we've seen a lot of misplays in the course of today, and this match I can confidently say, you know,
yeah,
fairly tight play on part of both players.
I could not agree more.
John, perhaps another preordainer ponder here.
He does have the preordain. I think he just preordained here and try to kill him next turn.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where it's fine to just brainstorm for no reason.
I mean, he casts preordain first, though, right?
Oh, does he have a preordain?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, then I mean, he definitely
Is that
just
pack
casts preordain.
negation too?
Yeah, he must not have a preordain because there's no way he doesn't cast if he
No.
has it.
I might have misseen it.
Or maybe he didn't cast it. I don't know.
No, I mean, I could.
Very unlikely.
It's a pretty awkward angle. I probably just saw a different card that looked similar.
All right, Christopher
Beat for
tagging for 3.
three.
John going to 13 here. Let's see what Christopher has in hand. He has all the mana he really needs for anything except his really big spells.
We got the Lawnmower Elf joining the party.
Not what he wants to see there.
That's what John
What
wants to
else did he
see.
have in his hand? Spell Eldrazi?
That does look like a preordain. Oh, it's brainstorm.
See, and
Is
that's
that-
a fine
is that-
brainstorming move. No.
Maybe he just wanted to save the brainstorm for the end there.
Oh, weird. He did have a preordain.
But okay.
A little unusual.
I've been playing that magiccard.info name the card art game all day. Not all day, but on the trip up here. And so I feel like I was pretty ready to name the card from the picture. I would have been disappointed. Subtracted one from my score later.
I was really excited in Lincoln, Nebraska. Somebody drew a
Whoa,
Care
wait a
Keep.
minute. You were excited in Nebraska? The first person. You've heard it here, folks.
Somebody drew a Care Keep off the top of his library, and I was like, this player just drew a Care Keep. And BDM looks at me and he's like, how did you know that was, we didn't have the deck list or anything? He's like, really? He's like, you could just snap that's a Care Keep? Like, I was like, man, I've played too much of this game.
I'm pretty sure I know what that does. It's time spiral land, tap 1 in a red and get a 0-1 kobold.
Yeah, you have to tap it, tap one red, you get that one.
All right.
A preordain from John here. Now, it is important for the high tide deck to hit its land drops.
Yes. If it starts to, he's got his land. If he starts to trip up on mana, then he's in bad shape. But Christopher's just not applying enough pressure, like or any pressure at all for that matter, as far as the high tide. Like that's the neat thing about high tide. Whenever you're playing a deck like Tendrils, you know, beating for 3, like those actually are pretty devastating because you're just losing so many cards off your ad nauseum, whereas the high tide deck just doesn't care. It's going to kill you at 2 life.
Yeah.
Just as easily as it's going to kill you at 20.
It really makes the difference. You just wait till the last possible turn and then you kill them.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of my favorite type of combo decks to play. It's a type of combo deck where you kind of just have to, you know, you don't know necessarily whether or not you're going to fizzle on any given turn, but...
Is that Aether Snap, right? Yeah.
An Aether Snipe. It's a Lorwyn, common or uncommon, 4/4 for 5 and a blue. When it comes into play, you can return target permanent to its owner's hand. It has a Voke for 1 and 2 blue. So the food chain, that's really awesome because if you had a food chain in play, you could pay 3 mana, bounce a permanent, and then sacrifice it and get 7 mana.
Yeah.
So like netting 4 mana and bouncing one of your opponent's permanents, pretty good.
Depending on John's hand, that might buy Chris the time he needs.
Oh, I'm interested that he bounced a candelabra instead of an island.
I think that's fine.
Really? Isn't that bouncing the island just way better because of the way high tides work?
Yeah. I mean, but now he has to devote the 1 mana to the...
Yeah, but it's just 1, as opposed to,
His high tide, yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably better about the island. I was just trying to be nice.
I mean, it's not
it's not like awful, but
I don't think it really matters, to be honest.
I mean, if he's going off this turn, he's probably going off. I think he's supposed to cast Candelabra here and just turn about his Candelabras later, right?
It doesn't turn about untap the Candelabras?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so I don't know why you're turn-abouting before you're using your Candelabras.
I don't know. It might be more as you get. It's.
No, there's really no reason to do it.
No.
Perhaps he doesn't know that the turnabout's untap his Candelabra return us. Be sure to find him for the top 8. Inform him of.
Yeah, I'll talk to him, or I'll remember mention that.
But maybe he won't be in top 8. Maybe he'll time spiral and hit 7 lands.
Or draw 8 cards.
Yeah. Drawing 8 cards. It's a way to lose.
There's the Candelabra.
Candelabra will untap all these lands.
This deck was always such a breeze. Like, the more high tides you drew, the more breezy your victory became.
Yeah, just a really easy
yeah.
Oh, he still has Pact of Negation in his deck. Against this. I'm surprised that's not just a repeal. Repeal can generate more mana with your Candelabras. It also buys you time.
Yeah, just turn 2, bounce a dude.
Yeah.
Draw a card. Cycles. Yeah.
And I mean,
probably makes sense. He's not really wanting to Pact of Negation anything here.
Yeah, Pact of Negation, pretty hard card to make useful in this matchup.
Time Spiral. Yahtzee. Alright. They're making it fun at least. They're rolling die.
Rolling dice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he's got the smile on his face. That's always a good thing. Like, if I'm gonna lose playing for top 8, I want to lose to a friend. And cheer my friend on. And be angry that he knocked me out. Secretly, though. Alright, we're gonna tap some lands, we're gonna shuffle some cards, and we're gonna... Bonus points for Chris, though. He gets an extra food chain in his deck now. So if he does, by some small chance, live another turn.
I highly doubt it's living another turn at this point, but...
His islands are way up there. It's like...
Yeah, he's... That's something we've seen a lot of here down in Tampa. A lot of players like to invade their opponent's, table space. And it's working. Christopher is slowly moving his permanents back. It's not even like Johns needs that much room.
He's got to have room for the dice.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess.
Still keeping track of Storm in this matchup where it's...
I'm probably going to talk to John, too, and suggest that he keep all that stuff on paper, too, just so there's no accidental moving of dice. Just in top 8, I feel like it'd probably be a much better idea.
I mean, this is a fine way to do it, but
yeah,
you just kind of want to be sure. Yeah. Doing it with pen and paper.
Paper trails are always way better than...
Yeah, if a judge comes over and is like, that number is wrong, and you're able to be like, to reconstruct it and be like, this number, this number, this number, this number, as opposed to just being like, look, but the dice are on this number.
Yeah. It's always like, it's always down to one of our judges. They make the opening announcements, and they're like,
if you have a paper trail and your opponent doesn't have a paper trail, you win.
Yeah, don't keep your life with dice. Don't do it on your little computer. Just keep paper trail. And then the people who take notes are always going to be in favor too. Like, I know I lost it from this, 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 and this. It's always much more relevant.
High tide from John.
It's high tide number 2 for the turn. He's got a time. That was not a bad time spiral for John. He's got this game all but locked up.
Yep, asking how many cards Christopher has remaining in his deck. I see 4 lands. I see 5 creatures, and it's 16 total cards, along with 7 cards in his hand. So there will be 44 cards remaining in his deck. So he needs to Blue Sun Zenith him for 40. I guess 44 is all that's required. So he needs to create 47 mana here. And then I guess 50 if he's going to Cutting Wish for that.
Yeah. That seems relatively easy.
Yeah.
He's got another, he's got the other high tide. Yeah, it's game.
Oh, he's another high tide?
Yeah.
Super game. I mean, imagine if he had used that turnabout after
and a
the
Merchant Scroll in his
Candelabras.
deck.
Then he wouldn't even have to do all this stuff.
Yeah. I didn't actually count the Merchant Scroll thing. Maybe he just wanted to get value out of any value out of the high tide if he didn't have enough to do all that, cast the high tide and time spiral. I didn't actually count it out because I didn't know it was in his hand. But I feel like he probably still would have been fine. I'm not sure though.
I think he's fine with just about any line at this point.
Yeah, I guess like I
When
remember
you have 3 high tides on the stack, mana floating, 5 lands in play, an untapped Candelabra, and you just resolve the time spiral, and you have more than 7 cards in your hand.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, I always like you. Obviously, always win the like. Anytime I started to combo with high tide, I never fizzled, and I don't even think that's due to play skill or anything like that. It's just the deck is very, very difficult to fizzle with. But the games that I lost, I would have somebody over my shoulder, and then I would talk to them after the match, and they were like, "Had you done this a previous turn or this a previous turn, you could have done X, Y, or Z, and potentially won that game." So the turns that lead up to you comboing are the actual difficult turns, whereas the time spiraling, untapping, playing high tide, that's just going through the motions after that, yeah. Making sure you remember your storm count, your mana, and the Candelabra Merchant Scroll. We're going to keep both those on top, they're real good. Another Candelabra.
Yeah. I believe he has a turnabout in hand now, so that's just enough mana right now on board.
Players, Whitefair Service is going to be heading out in about 20 minutes.
At this point, I would just if I were John, I would just start playing with my hand face up and wait for my.
Oh yeah, I mean,
there's no reason not to.
And Lindsay for a little bit longer. So make sure
John
you
wins.
check in with our great players up at the front of
with the
room.
turnabout he has in hand, he can create enough mana with what he has on board to win the game. And that Merchant Scroll in hand means another turnabout. That's all those activations of Candelabras.
Yep.
Plenty of mana.
Merchant Scroll for any card in your deck. Pick one.
Yep.
And you're good to go.
Yep.
Gonna get another high tide. How good is your hand? Very.
Yeah, he doesn't need that high tide at all.
Yeah. When I was playing against, whenever you're playing high tide, if you're playing against any deck that has any sort of counterspell, any sort of disruption at all, I always try to cast high tide or time spiral as little as possible. Like if I could do it without it, you obviously don't want to do it. You don't want to give your opponent more outs. But he's just so free to recast time spirals, just do whatever he needs to do. Yeah.
It's like super easy mode.
Yeah.
Just getting to.
Especially if you have the perfect information of knowing your opponent is helpless to your combo.
All right, John Rojas.
Top 8 competitor.
Top 8 competitor
well,
now.
John was X11, right?
Maybe he misses top 8.
Yeah.
Knocks them both out.
That would be unfortunate. Good. Yeah. I'd feel really bad for Chris if that happened. And John.
Yep. All right.
Tap.
Spends 5 of that 12 mana floating. Adds 25 to his pool. Up 32 mana.
I'm going to have to run over and give him a calculator here in a minute. He's going to need it. Add up all the mana.
Activates this Candelabra going to 27 mana. Can tap all of these lands again, going up to 52 mana. And that's enough for a lethal Blue Sun Zenith.
Yeah. He might just go for it here unless he wants to
so
play
52.
around some more. Get more camera time.
And
I can never play this deck in a tournament just because I'm always that guy who's like, do you have dice to roll? I never have dice. I just have my pen, my pad, and my deck.
Turnabout.
Turnabout. What are we untapping? All right, so he doesn't know he can do it. That's good. There might have been a reason. I probably should have counted the first go round.
Yeah, and
25 more.
That's unusual that he did it that way before then.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, his hand looked so perfect, it kind of just didn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing.
He's got a Cunning Wish in his hand, looks like? Oh, he's just got the
I've
Blue
seen
Sun
it.
Zenith, alright.
Yeah.
Is that the only foil in his deck?
Zenith you for... a whole lot. That's enough. If it's not enough, he can just do it all over again this same turn with ease.
The stone-faced. He's like, I got the misdirection. You really want to do this? You better make it exactly, buddy. Because I know I got more cards. I think he said 48.
That's enough. Only 44 cards left in Christopher's library. 48 can be plenty. And John Rojas, top 8 competitor now, if he can make it.
Chris is actually drawing the cards. He's going through it. Oh, no, couldn't draw the last one.
Couldn't draw another one. Played it out.
That's good. At least
To the very end.
he's smiling. They're having fun. That's
I
good.
like it.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
we saw High Tide play. By itself for a little while, and
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of...
got attacked by Noble Arc a few times.
Yeah, he got attacked by a Noble Arc a few times, then he won both games. Not a very interactive match. Unfortunately, food chain never resolved there.